It's 10:30 on this Tuesday, January 6th. Great to be with you from the 11 Alive Streaming Center. We want to talk some big sports news. Of course, the big Falcons news coming down about 36 hours ago. The team losing the head coach, the GM, some front office moves going on there. But also within the last hour and a half, we've learned of a change when it comes to a big local high school. Maria Martin, our sports anchor, joining us here in studio. Maria, great to be with you this morning.
Good morning, Dan. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, welcome to the Streaming Center. So I want to start with Gainesville High School because they're losing their head coach. I mean, he got them to the state championship this year.
Yeah.
What's going on now?
Yeah, well, I think it's crazy, the story about Gainesville football. You remember everything that happened, the brawl that happened in the playoffs, and they end up going to the state championship. Josh Niblett's an incredible coach, and we saw what he accomplished in the state of Alabama, brought that here to Georgia and did a really good job, and now he's leaving. So not totally sure where he's going to be going. The reports indicate that he's going to be going to Colorado. We expect an announcement here within today because we already have a release that he is no longer going to be the head coach at Gainesville, but what an opportunity for whoever gets the head coaching position there.
I mean, this is a great job, right?
Amazing
Locally?
job, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It's one of the best in the state.
Love
so
that.
whoever goes there is expected to win championships.
All right, so potentially Josh Niblett and Deion Sanders.
Be crazy.
Get ready for your fireworks.
They're two totally different but similar personalities, if that makes sense. You know, Deion's everybody knows how Deion is. He's very, look at me, very eccentric. And Josh is that way to an extent. So I think them two pairing up would be a lot of fun.
Well, I tell you what, I love how he really stuck up for his team over the last couple months and really took a stand there for him. All right, so that's one coaching vacancy we've got on the high school level. And then we got the coaching vacancy with the Falcons. Maria, you've had 36 hours now to digest this news.
Yeah.
What do you think about everything that's happened?
You know, I was not as shocked as everybody else was that this was actually the result. I was shocked by the timing. I thought it was very interesting that just 5 hours after the game, they ended up letting go of not only their head coach, but their general manager as well. And Arthur Blank is not an aggressive owner, and he has shown that time and time again. He tends to hang on to people a little bit longer than perhaps he should, and he's shown that in the past as well. I thought it was very uncharacteristic of Arthur to let go of Raheem in this way. Just 2 years, Raheem and him have a very colorful history. They've been together for a very long time. This was Raw's second stint here in Atlanta. He was a position coach here before, was a previous interim head coach here. And so I think that it was interesting that he let him go after 2 seasons and that they did it in the time, because what that indicates to me is that this was not made a decision right after the end of the Saints game.
Right.
It was a thought process weeks in the making, and especially to let go of Terry Fontenot too. I can get into all the weeds of why he was potentially let go as well.
Yeah, do you think it was always going to be inevitable that these two were going to go as a pair, or were they kind of fired for separate reasons?
Great question. I think they were fired for separate reasons, though. And this is a very collaborative team and a very collaborative thought process. Terry Fontenot, to his detriment, had hitched his wagon to his head coaches his entire time here in Atlanta. He survived the Arthur Smith firing, and I knew that it was possible he would not survive this one, mostly because of how the quarterback situation went down. Terry is responsible for so many excellent draft picks here in Atlanta that Falcons fans are going to get to enjoy for years to come, which I think is amazing. But unfortunately in the NFL, if you don't get the quarterback position right, that can ultimately sink your ship, and that's what did Terry Fontenot in.
Okay. Is there hope for getting the quarterback position right in the coming seasons? I mean, is it all about getting maybe an offensive-minded coach in here now, or do you think they go a different direction, go defensive?
What a loaded question. You know, that's like the $1 million question that I wish I got paid a lot more money to tell you about. No, but I do think having an offensive-minded coach is paramount for this team at this point. You know, the last couple of years under Zach Robinson's thumb as the offensive coordinator, the offense was not to anyone's expectation, and I think that everyone knows that and understands that a change needed to be made there. Doing it with Raw as the head coach is going to trickle down all the way through the assistant coaches. Now, they can retain some assistant coaches. That's going to be up to whoever the general manager and head coach is, but I do think it has to be an offensive-minded coach at this point. You've gone defense. You've gone previous coordinators, which there are coordinator names that have been thrown out there. I would like to see someone with a little bit more experience come in here and take over this job. Getting the quarterback position right is going to be really tricky for this team. They are in a very big hole when it comes to the quarterback position. Michael Penix Jr., another season-ending injury last year. He's had a ton of those throughout his career. And Terry, high risk, high reward. He knew that throughout the draft process, and this team knew that as well. NFL teams do their scouting on all these players. They understand the risk that you take whenever you take a certain player. With Michael, unfortunately, that was that. And they're going to get him back. It's just we don't know when. It's going to be middle of the season at some point. Then you have Kirk Cousins. He's $100 million+ quarterback. He's aging. He's in the back half of his career. Definitely played well in the back stretch of the season, those final 4 games that they won and closed it out. But you have a very interesting situation on your hands here. You need to find a bridge quarterback to kind of bridge the gap. They don't have a first-round draft pick. Remember that, because they gave it away to the Los Angeles Rams last year. They get James Pierce Jr. Fantastic. 10.5 sacks this year as a rookie. You couldn't ask for more from him. But unfortunately, this team really needs a first-round draft pick, and that's not going to happen this year.
All right, all this talk of quarterbacks. I'm wondering if there's a chance for another quarterback to come back, this time in the front office. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Matt Ryan?
Matt's coming back.
He's coming back.
Matt's coming back. Matt's 100% coming back. And this is something that we're going to learn here in the next probably couple of days, if not the next week.
Wow.
This has been, from what I understand and what I've been told, this has been brewing for quite some time. I think it's really interesting because, you know, as great as Matt is, and I think the world of Matt, I think Matt Ryan is an incredibly smart human being, went to Boston College. I think he's incredibly cerebral. You have to be to play the quarterback position. But aside from football, I think he's really smart. However, he doesn't have any front office experience, so I think it is very interesting. He's also a guy that is going to grow and evolve no matter what happens. He'll make mistakes, and I think Falcons fans probably don't want to hear that or don't want to recognize that because it's Matt Ryan and we all think he's the best. Yeah. But he's going to make mistakes. I just think he's someone that can learn very quickly from that, and that's why he does fit a role like this. And it's very interesting. I talked to Mike Johnson yesterday, who's a former Falcons offensive lineman, former teammate of Matt Ryan's, and he said, look, he's the nicest guy on the planet. He is the first person to chew you out on the field and then go buy you a beer afterwards. However, he's going to make tough decisions. And honestly, I think that's what the Falcons organization has been missing for a long time. Arthur Blank finally makes a very, very difficult decision in getting rid of 2 people. If you want to put Rich McKay in that as well, 3 people at the same time. So that's the beginning of those tough decisions that have not been made for the Falcons over the last 7 years. Now they're under their 4th head coach in the last 7 years. I've been there for all of them, by the way. And Matt Ryan is going to come in and say, no, this is how it's got to go. This is what the expectation here is in Atlanta.
For somebody who's been there for this journey, the ups and downs over 7 years, I know you were there yesterday as the players were packing up. What was the mood like? What were they telling you or not telling you?
Yeah, I mean, it was somber, as you could expect. First of all, locker cleanout day is never fun for anybody. It's not fun for us. You know, we're around these guys a ton, and it stinks whenever they miss the playoffs yet again. I mean, this team has not been in the playoffs since 2017. That's a long time. Right. It is the 2nd longest drought, only to the New York Jets. That's terrible company to keep.
Is that
by
right?
The way. Yes.
Second longest.
Second longest, behind the Jets, which...
Yeah, you don't want to be
a part of that.
No.
You definitely don't want to be a part of that. So, you know, this team, they fell short of expectations that they had. And we all really believed, especially me, you know, I drank the Kool-Aid. I thought they were going to the playoffs, and I've covered this team for a long time. And they have the pieces there, and they're talented enough. And they fell short of expectations. Ultimately, why Raheem Morris is no longer the head coach, right? So you go into a locker room, and it already stinks to leave and go on vacation early. People make those jokes about, oh, we're going to Cancun. None of those guys want to do that. They want to keep playing football. So they're frustrated. And for the guys that have been through kind of the revolving door, similar to myself, oh, man, we've got another head coach. We've got another GM. It's part of the gig. The NFL's a business. You are what your record says you are. It is so true. So those guys, they're disappointed. And Raheem Morris is such a player's coach. You know, regardless of what happened on the field, guys love him. They adore him. Unfortunately, that doesn't really keep you your job in the NFL. But, yeah, I mean, people were sad for sure.
Maria, my final question to you. How attractive is the Falcons job right now when you consider all the other openings out there?
I hate when people say it's not an attractive job. Here's why. It's one of 32 NFL teams in the country that have an opening. One of 32 jobs in the entire country that coaches all over the country would die for. There is a very good coach that will be a head coach here in Atlanta. Now, for these experienced seasoned coaches, perhaps they have options. That's a little bit different. But if you're a coordinator looking to advance your career, Why not Atlanta? Atlanta's a perfect place right now, albeit the quarterback situation, as I illustrated for a very long time, is a conundrum, and that's a messy situation. However, look at the core of this team, and that's a credit to Terry Fontenot. Like I said, he got those pieces in here, but you have such a big upside here in Atlanta. The fact that they underperformed by a very small margin in an NFC South division that is the worst in football, you're sending an 8-9 Carolina Panthers team to the playoffs. What an opportunity. It's not a good division. You have a lot of pieces in place to where you can just plug and play. And yeah, getting the quarterback position right is a big thing. And remember, when they signed Kirk Cousins, we all thought, oh, this is it. This is it. Got a quarterback. They're going to go to the playoffs. Ultimately, that hasn't worked out. So I think it's such an attractive job. And again, I think there are a lot of names out there that are interesting. And there are 6 NFL head coaching openings. That includes Raheem Morris right now. So 5 other coaches that the Falcons could have interest in. Raheem Morris already getting head coaching interest by some of these openings as well. So that'll be interesting to follow.
All right. Well, Josh Niblett's already taken, so he's not going to be on the short
Can't go
list.
get Josh Niblett, that's for sure.
Maria, great job the last few days.
Thanks.
I mean, I'm biased, but this is why we have the best sports department in the city.
Appreciate
They've
that.
been doing incredible work last couple days working their sources, and we know they will continue to do so in the coming days and keep us surprised as news develops there out of the Falcons.